So today we're going to learn about how to basically implement inventory update. Inventory update is very useful here. It's really good for updating inventory with the database. And let's look at the sample, the data sample right here. So basically the challenge asks us to add a number if their names are the same. That means it's already exists, and we can just increment that number here. If it's not, then we can just push it in the current inventory, or basically add it in there. Okay, so let's just to be more clear, we can use this variable instead of array1 and array2, which is pretty confusing, and we can return inventory that we just updated. So that will be our result. So let's declare it right here, and we will take current in. So that's the current inventory, and let's say that we're trying to look at if the data that we just returned is correctly implemented or not. All right, so this is correct, which is current inventory, and we will have for loop right here, and that for loop will take index value from new inventory length, and we're going to traverse through the new inventory data. All right, and we will have to create item here. So that item will be our new inventory item, and it will come from so new inventory. We will have index, and that item is, well, we can just say item name. That will be more clear right here. So that will be this item name. Okay, so that means index 1. All right, and we're going to need item index. So this index can be a new item or the item that already exists. Okay, so for this particular variable, we need to use find index, and we're going to find within inventory data. We will have to check if the item exists or not. So the new item has to be check here, and if it exists, or if it exists, we will return the right index. If it's not, -1. So find index, we're going to use the built-in method here, and that find index will take functions and element. It will give us this basically right here, that element. So, and that element has, so it's gonna traverse through all these elements, and we will have to return a boolean value element. So what are we comparing against? Well, basically their name, so which is why index 1, right? And against what number, what name? Item name that we just retrieved from the new inventory. Okay, and then it will return boolean value 0 or 1 in this case, and then if it exists, the right index will return. If it's not, -1. So in that case, we will have to check if item index is greater than -1. If it's greater than -1, that means the item exists, and we will have to just increment the item number, and which is inventory item number, and we got the right index from the inventory itself, so we'll just pass it right here, and we are incrementing the number of index 0, right? So this number makes sense. Okay, plus and equal to We just basically have two. So the new inventory, that's the one that we're trying to get from, and this item index will not be correct for this new inventory. So this is the index that we're trying to use, and everything else is the same. So that will give us the right updated number, which is 88. That's correct. But we still need to implement pushing the data if it doesn't exist. Okay, so if it's equal to -1, that means it doesn't exist, and we have to push it into the inventory right here. So inventory.push, and we are taking this inventory index, the whole basically this or this, right? Not just the name. Okay, so now we have a new item, which is basically dirty socks, hairpin, microphone, half-eaten apple, and toothpaste. That's the new item that we just added here. All right, cool. Now we have to sort alphabetically, so we just call sort function here, and we will use function within functions, basically kind of like a lambda functions. So previous, we're going to use that, and next. Well, what happened? What do you mean by previous and next? Well, the inventory is updated inventory, so it will just go through each the previous item. It will compare with the next item, and basically loop through and comparing against the first item again, and just sort based on their name, which is basically we're going to compare it with lexicographically. So a little bit confusing here because of the functions and bracket and parentheses stuff. So let's push this down, and we can say something like this. And previous, so yeah, so previous, and we are comparing against their name, so that will be index 1, and we are taking next, and this will be 1 again, and if the previous is greater, that means, so we're going to use if function, inline if functions, so a question mark right here, and if it's greater, that means we are going to return 1, and if it's smaller, then we'll return -1. Okay. Oh, oops, so -1. And I think that will do it. So if you look at B, start from B, D, H, H, M, and T. So it is correct. All right, that's it. Control and enter, and it worked. So that's it for inventory update.